Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about Nvidia RTX Spark announcement that happened few hours ago. So let's dive deep into it. So this is basically Nvidia and the hype is that they are entering the consumer CPU market as in Intel and AMD directly. So the whole point is they are bringing this puppy, and this is CPU, the brain, the actual compute part is from ARM's holding, as in if you have ARM's architecture, that has to be paid from ARM holding. It's a RISC system. x86 is CISC system, complex instruction set architecture. ARM is reduced instruction set architecture. You have to pay them. The silicon, the actual SAN, that's the what you call IP, the proprietary IP. But what about the physical hardware? That's built by MediaTek. And now let that be very clear, Nvidia does make their own CPU, but they only do it for flagship products and basically server system. Because again, it does not make sense to pay money by that many steps, as in like you pay money, basically you get money from customer, you pay money to MediaTek, MediaTek pays money to ARM's holding anyway. So might as well remove MediaTek and do ARM's holding directly. And not to mention, long-term plan for all these companies is to remove ARM, and that's why they are slowly chipping and putting some serious money into RISC-V. That architecture is not fully cooked yet, but again, the progress is very decent, and more than enough puppies with deep pocket is pouring money into it. The idea is, if we are designing the everything, if we are physically building the chips and physically doing everything, we are just paying for that IP that is going inside the core. It's not necessary. So that's their long-term plan, as in like 10-20 years kind of plan. So CPU is coming from that sort of mixed stuff. That's one side of the SIP. Second, the GPU, the actual brain, it's Blackwell generation. Basically, in this design, they are calling it the brain and the brawn. The brawn is the GPU side, which is Blackwell generation. Basically, it's a GPU. That's it. And it's not cut down GPU. It's not a cut down GPU. It's a full-fledged high horsepower GPU. And the whole selling point why they can do it while others cannot is not only their GPU is the best, they do have high-speed interconnect, that NVLink C2C, that's their special sauce. It's one thing to do when you are dealing with your own stuff, basically Apple taking their own M chips and just going, that's one thing. For Nvidia, it's a bit more difficult, like exponentially more difficult, because the IP of one is someone else and their own IP is something else. So they have to have this marriage together. That is a bit difficult. So it should not be taken lightly. Let that be very clear. Like while we have AMD has their own tech and Intel has their tech, Apple has their tech, it is still difficult to have two different corporations chips going pochonk. That is difficult. And what it's supposed to give you? Well, finally, hopefully, it will give laptops that flat out remove the, MacBooks are superior, the end, like flat out, the end. That should happen. Battery life would be there. And you have to understand that, like the sole reason why Windows hardwares or even Android in the early days, now it's much better. Early days, it's not about the hardware. That's a common misconception. People are, it's the hardware power. It's nothing. This means nothing. It's the marriage between the hardware and the software. If they are aligned together, awesome, butter. Like you need proof of that, go to a museum, open apart an iPhone 1 and voila, it has Samsung silicon. That's very clear, Samsung silicon. So how the heck Samsung could not do that? Yeah, Samsung never had time to actually optimize the goddamn software. Even though Google was making it, they could have done that, but they're like, hey, what if we lose motion 50-60 models per year? Apple was, what if we lose motion one model? And it's awesome. So it's always that silicon power does not matter unless you have software that is working with it properly. And that's what Nvidia is trying to solve using their multi-trillion-dollar muscle. So the idea is they have very close partnership with Microsoft, and be mindful, Microsoft and Nvidia partnership because of DirectX is ancient at this point in time. GPU drivers does go through basically Nvidia's, and they have much deeper penetration, much deeper with everybody else. So translation layer should be good enough where it's like, hey, this does not matter whether you have x86 apps or ARM app, it should just work. Like without any issue, it should just work. So they have that all the bells and whistles, like 1 petaflop. I do not know whether it's true petaflop, mathematically calculated, or some AI slop measurement. But if it is true, 1 petaflop is still big. Like It's not like, oh, ancient times that was supercomputer. No, that's like a recent time. Like as in, like I was young-ish. That time 1 petaflop was like, whoa, supercomputer hit 1 petaflop. That was a big number. And this will have that unified memory as in all the silicon chips. I have to say, this is weird part that Nvidia makes a particular socketed RAM. And again, the socket is different. It's like more closer to CM, but they have socketed RAM. So 128 gigs of unified memory. And what does that mean, 128? It simply means it can address that much. You can attach more, it will not address them. So that's why I said, like, if you look into their flagship series, there are modules for RAMs, like custom. They built custom. It's not a CCAM that is coming from JDAC. It's completely custom, and they have been doing it for months. And here we have laptop manufacturers, gaslighting, oh, but it won't be fast. I'm like, the fastest goddamn AI computer, multi-trillion-dollar company doing that. So 128 gigabyte. This is the same thing. They had that AI in the box. Same thing, exact same thing. Now, partnership. This is the critical. Let that be very clear. It's not about the hardware. It's not about the server. It's about the integration. So, RTX GPU core of 6,144 CUDA cores. That's a big puppy. That's not cut down puppy. That is big puppy. Meaning, if you have cooling, this puppy should be powerful enough to flex. Like, and I do not mean okay full HD. I mean 4K kind of flex. So that's the whole thing. And MediaTek is building that 20-core Grace CPU. So MediaTek and Nvidia, like, okay, why Nvidia is doing that? MediaTek has much better I/O experience. That's what I've been told. Like, if you want to make a AI for your self-driving car, MediaTek has a bit more what you call portfolio experience that you would need. So Nvidia partnership with that. But when you're talking about AI inferencing and just data crunching, Nvidia is like, we can do that ourselves. We can just pay the arm holding, build the silicon, sell it, the end. So Windows for ARM integration will be done by Microsoft, and that's the critical part. Because they have such long history and such a good integration, they should be able to do that. And who's gonna sell the hardware? Hardware will be sold, again, you and I are not gonna buy Nvidia laptop. We're gonna buy Asus, Dell, HP, Lenovo, MSI or Gigabyte. So they will be the hardware vendor. And be mindful, it won't be limited to laptop only. You will laptop, mini PC, workstation, all those sort of jazz. And because this company has like such a big energy, like big, they're actually forcing one of the biggest pain point that Steam could not force. Steam, when they're using Linux and emulating games, everything is fine. They solved so many bugs like from the day one. Right now it's butter, but a few games just flat out not work. Why? They have anti-cheat software that detects kernel level. And at kernel level, you can tell whether somebody is emulating or you are running on native hardware, and they just blockade that system. Now, Steam is big, but not that big, especially for that silicon cell. They're not that big. Nvidia is like, bro, I make the graphics driver. It would be a shame if for some reason your anti-cheat started to throw up error with graphic driver. So if Nvidia says like, you're gonna redo the whole stack so it works properly with our ARM stack, you can be damn sure they will do that. And be mindful, it is in Nvidia's best interest. Nobody would care if like some obscure protocol or program does not work with Nvidia. But everybody will care if Nvidia messes up video games. Like, you cannot mess that up. Like, that will have a, what do you call, it might dip stock by a few percent kind of a bitch slap. So they're like, no, you're gonna rewrite your goddamn system and you will make sure it works very well with my ARM silicon. So that will happen. That's why I said like integration matters, and they're working on it. Okay, so you had partnership that is dealing the hardware, you have partnership that is dealing the operating system, you have partnership with some messy stuff. What else? Well, they're working with Adobe. Now, it is actually easy for Adobe or even DaVinci Resolve. Adobe they talked about, I do not know about DaVinci Resolve, because Adobe and softwares like that, they already utilize CUDA hardware. They have what you call core engine programming built in such a way that they can use CUDAs. And this time they are talking about on the what you call presentation that you can go 100% GPU accelerated, 100% GPU accelerated. So the idea is Adobe is willingly working with Nvidia so they can make their software just butter. It's just like butter. And is that would be a desirable thing? Yes, a lot of people buy MacBooks for video editing in Adobe packages simply because Adobe in Microsoft Windows PC x86 is not very stable. But if it goes through Nvidia, it's far more desirable thing. Because again, Nvidia is doing a QC, so to say. So Adobe is working with Nvidia and Nvidia is working with everything else. So Adobe is there, and be mindful, Adobe is just one big player. They are also talking about Blender. They also talked about some game engines, Riot Gaming and all that. So they have a portfolio. Let that be very clear. That's the whole point of having $4 trillion. You have a portfolio where, like, if you say something, other companies will bend over. So partnership will affect every single again, the whole list was very long, but you can be damn sure they are like actually making sure that all the pain points would be taken care of. So what's the logic behind it? This is where it went full cuckoo. Computer is not for human anymore, according to Jensen Huang, Nvidia CEO. That was said, like actually said openly, not even like I'm saying it paraphrasing. No, the flat out, multiple times. Nvidia were a CPU for agents, not even for human. Design human? F that. Design for agents. Somebody said like it's literally going back to Matrix, whereas like, most compute was just to running the agents. So compute should not be optimized for AI. Oh, I wrote it wrong. Should be optimized for AI agents utilization rather than human parity. So somebody asked like, why for this sort of CPU you had like 88 cores? It did not make sense. Again, a ratio and portfolio and all that is like, no, it's like a human cannot utilize that much, but AI agent can. So they are selling you AI hardware. You can't buy a non-AI hardware anymore. So that is there. And Microsoft and Adobe both are aligned. And what do I mean aligned? Aligned is they do not want you to do things. They want you to talk to their quote unquote Jarvis, and Jarvis is supposed to do things for you. Like, and again, that requires silicon. Nvidia has to make some money. So they're gonna sell that silicon to civilian use, because again, right now, if you do not think Adobe and AI, what they want to do is like, hey, we have Adobe will come up with some mascot, let's just say in the future, and Cortana, let's just call that. Cortana is like, you talk to Cortana, Cortana does the video editing for you. And that's what they were demoing. It's not me saying it, that's what they are demoing. And the whole point of Nvidia is you can do that without servers. That's like shut up, take money for many people. Not that good yet, but again, the money keeps churning, so they have to show something. It was there. And you will talk to AI. That's the end game. That's what their dream they are selling you, is that you will talk to your Jarvis and Jarvis will do things for you. For example, I enjoy researching the videos. I enjoy making the presentation. I even enjoy the recording part. Everything afterwards, I do not like. What is editing? I do not even like to make documentation and all that, thumbnail and all. I don't like that. So I should be able to, in future, have this sort of hardware and just talk to it, and it would not even require AI or something like that. So AI as in like data center and all that. So that's the dream. And he said something that like kind of horrified me. Tokens are now profitable unit. First, they are not. Second, they are really not. And again, that's why like, NVIDIA agent toolkit for enterprise AI, NVIDIA were a CPU for agents. Even the consumer hardware was for, by the way, the consumer hardware would be bonkersly expensive, because that's silicon, like having a full GPU and a full-fledged quote unquote desktop grade CPU all in one silicon while giving all that horsepower. It is done, that's what they have, that AI box, but it was expensive. Like it was announced for $3,000, it is selling for $4,000. So you can be damn sure you're gonna be paying a hefty price for these laptops and workstation, because all things you are throwing away that is like, money costing is the SFP port and the networking chip. Everything else has to be there. So it won't be cheap. Like in any way, shape or form, the likelihood of it being cheap is very low. Like really, really low. So what's the target here? Target is basically do what Apple did, basically this puppy. Apple M1 silicon that was announced in 2020, it was a smart move. It was like, we are paying, basically at that point in time, they were paying ARM holding, they were paying Intel for x86 CPU. They're like, okay, what if we throw away Intel? So they made their own silicon and it worked. It worked. So that's the whole point. Make PC laptops so powerful and efficient, because again, Apple is not buying from Nvidia. Apple is working their ass off to make their own. Apple is one of those few brands where it's like they had some falling off with Nvidia for some reason. Even their flagship Pro, it has like Fire Pro cards. It's like, what the hell is Fire Pro cards? Yeah, that's AMD flagship system. I did not even knew AMD made this. I always knew Quattro, but like AMD has that. And Apple is like, no. I have no idea what is the boom boom that they had, but it was big. So Fundamentally, that's the whole point. Make laptops powerful and efficient, and finally dethrone basically Apple's point of view, where it's like, oh, if you want a very light, efficient system, you have to buy Apple. And can they do that? That's the claim. Can they do it? Well, at this point in time, they do have world's best compute stack, meaning if you want AI to be your thing, there's not that many other company that can go against it, like flat out, no. So that's there. And again, even if you can come up with an AI agent that is like, advanced mathematics, that I can trust. I hope that happens. But I cannot hope like every Tom, Dick and Harry to spin up their own silicon. That's unlikely. So the idea is they can flat out beat Qualcomm and Apple, flat out. Like put both of your technology together and I'll still bit slap it. Like in terms of GPU horsepower, it's not even a discussion. It's like, bro, don't. And AI workload, don't even try. And be mindful, Qualcomm has been trying to make silicons for server-grade hardware. It's just not that popular. So flat out. Now, all that is technically true. It's just that it all falls apart on one thing. Most CPUs are not for AI, like flat out, for a civilian application, just a normal dude who has a laptop. They're not running AI in the background, and they don't want to run AI on the background. Most people don't want to do that. Again, this puppy requires some friction to work effectively. It's almost like, free spinning an engine destroys the engine. Yeah, we need some friction. So again, light AI and all that, again, your phone does that. So your laptop not doing that is a desirable thing. And Windows polished enough for ARM, yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. Because be mindful, which other company tried to do that? Well, Windows tried that, as in Microsoft themselves paid for Windows RT, and they burnt $1 billion almost on it. $1 billion or 100 million, some significant amount of money was burnt. And again, if they had continued it, it would have worked by now, because again, that was a decade ago, like not even decade, like 2 decades ago. And after that, Qualcomm jumped into the fray. And again, Qualcomm has enough money, has enough oomph, has enough silicon in the market that they do matter. Like if I have to say, Qualcomm and Nvidia goes against, where Qualcomm will bit slap Nvidia, it's basically, hey, make a chip that works on 1 microwatt of power. Yeah, Nvidia will be like, bro, I can't even boot up in that. And Qualcomm is like, yeah, I'm talking to 5Gs in space. So fundamentally, they do have some strength. So it's not something they can just like loll away. And they have been chipping away at it for 9 years at this point in time. And they still haven't reached a point where it's like, oh, x86 or ARM does not matter. Like it's good enough at this point in time. If you are doing light work and you are just like, I have this sort of application utilization, that's it. Shut up, take money. They haven't reached there. They haven't reached it like, oh, just buy this and play games into it. Like you have to check whether those games are ARM compatible or translation layer compatible. So that's the hard sell. Like Nvidia is big and all that, but one of my art lead used to say, whenever you're like overworked and all that, it's like, oh, why can't we hire more people and do work? It's like, 9 women will not give you a baby in a month. Like you have to go through the long process. So given the fact how far along Snapdragon is, Qualcomm is, again, 9 years is a long enough time. They still haven't reached it. The likelihood of Nvidia reaching it, the best I can buy is that their gaming works. That I can buy that. That I should be able to buy. That, gaming buy Qualcomm. Gaming don't buy Qualcomm, buy Nvidia. That I can easily see. But everything else, Microsoft, the sole reason people put up with Microsoft Windows is simply because of the portfolio. The app portfolio is bonkers. All of that will just work day one. Yeah, that's not happening. So that's the whole point. And chip cost, again, Qualcomm does keep the cost low, and be mindful, their revenue is almost on the same ballpark as Nvidia. It's only 2 and 3x more. It's not like, oh, it makes 100 million and Nvidia makes hundreds of billion. It's not that much. It's like 50 or 40 billion dollar versus 120 or 140 billion dollar. It's not that far apart. Like they are in the same, true value range. Like if they're actual remove stock, true value range, they are very close. Like surprisingly close. And in terms of portfolio variability, Qualcomm is like, bro, I run industries. Like I actually run industries. So that's why the claims are free, but like delivery on some things that are time sensitive is like, unlikely. And again, most people are not going to buy $4,000 laptop or $5,000 unless you subsidize the hell out of it. And then we comes to the tragic part. We are cooked at this point in time because Hank Green just recently said a very interesting point. It's like, if you remain billionaire for more than 5 years or 10 years, you kind of lose your brain, apparently. And again, he said something very horrifying. He said like, again, I'm not saying it. He openly with his mouth said that. You can see that he was not drunk. He was normal. He's just talking. And he said like, AI is not causing job loss. Now, again, I have been very clear about job loss with AI simply because if AI can do things like, for example, let's just say in a future world where thumbnail editors are good enough, which mind you, YouTube is paying me, like they give you some small fund for research and all that. It's like, okay, test out our AI. It's not there yet, but I can see it. Like I can see the vision. I can easily see in 3 to 5 years from now, it will be good there. Where it's like, instead of hiring an artist, as everybody is like, please hire a thumbnail artist or please hire video editor. Cool. Imagine AI doing that. I'm not going to pay an editor and AI. I'm going to either pay an editor or I'm going to pay an AI, only one. And if I pay editor and he uses the AI, he has to pay less to AI because again, that's where value is. So fundamentally, AI is removing jobs. Now, will it create new job? Absolutely. Then what's the problem? Problem is the mathematics of it, the asymmetry, as in it will take out millions of jobs or will be displaced the moment you have self-driving, millions, and you're gonna have few thousand mathematician jobs. That's the asymmetry that people are not. Like when this happened, we had whole service sector crop up because there was so much workforce. We don't have anything that can crop up. Why? There are only two things you bring to the table: muscle power and brain power. Muscle power is, we are already working our ass off to replace everything, even like delivery robots with actual robots. And then we have like, brain power, AI. So this whole idea, I was optimistic. Like I was thinking like 5 to 10 years from now, we'll start to see market shrink. It's like, that's happening today. I was way too optimistic. So from someone of this caliber, like he is handling the world's biggest boat of AI. And he's like, la 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 la, la 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 la. That's horrifying. And be mindful, he is Gen 1 CEO, as in there are not that many people who is above him. So if he asks his ship to destroy something, they will destroy it. So that's very dangerous. Like flat out saying that, oh, it's not doing any loss. Like I am seeing millions of job loss annually. And I was optimistic. I was thinking like at least 5 years we have. It's like right now kids who are going into college, they are cooked. They're like, yeah, dude, either we hire you or we hire someone who already had 10-year experience for dirt cheap because again, they are broke. Fundamentally, and saying things that flat out cannot be true, like tokens are not a value. What the hell do you do with that token? That's the value. That's just no. And the most horrifying thing that somebody said, that AI bubble has already busted. Like people knew that AI is not gonna go, but again, because this is not banking sector messing up, government cannot do bailout, like not openly without causing a very serious hassle. So the idea is, what if you destroy everybody's pension? So where does pension is stored? Generally, stock market. How? Well, index funds. So they changed the law in index fund. That was done what we call fast entry. Now, whoever created this sort of index, they had some wisdom. It's like, hey, there's too much hype, there's too much chaos, there's too much noise the moment some IPO initial offering happens. So you apply brake, you apply some disc brake there. It's like, bro, chill. You have to wait 3 months. Now, 3 months is enough time where it's like, all the hype wears down and generally equalization happens. They changed it to 15 days. Why? Well, the first puppy that's going to destroy people's pension is SpaceX. Now, isn't SpaceX good? No, SpaceX is cocaine. So what SpaceX did, what Elon Musk did, that's why I said like people know that AI bubble is gone. It's rocket company burning money. It's not profitable. Like, wasn't SpaceX good? No, SpaceX was great. It's just that Starship was bad. And Starship started to burn billions of dollars annually. Even their Artemis contract is not that high, and not to mention, they're still 12-0. So it's not making. But is that bad? Not really. Why? Starlink did work. Starlink did started to churn money. They are burning $1 or $2 billion to run Starlink, and Starlink is bringing $10 billion. So that is more than enough. These two puppies combined, they're good. They got this. They are profitable. They're like, bro, we good. So why it's bad? Yeah, they did something very sneaky. That's like, whoa, you really hate your future children. They were sneaking AI with it. So that AI that is burning up, give or take tell me the exact number, is like $50 billion annually. This is not making enough. This is only making enough to be profitable and take care of Starlink, SpaceX part. Cool, awesome, fine. That's dandy. That's normal. That is to be expected. Like, losing money on the printer and making money on the cartridge. Cartridge is Starlink, printer is the rockets. Cool, fine, great. It works. Reasonable. AI is not. Grok is not profitable. So And once this will go through, more and more company will slowly divest their penalty to your future, and then you're gonna starve to death. Is the same mistake a lot of people do. Is like, okay, if we reduce the population, everything will be fine and done. It's like, no, nobody will be able to afford a car. Why? This is how a car is made right now, even in India. So you have these machines. They are idiotically expensive. They make Ferrari look like a cheap toy. And I am not joking or exaggerating. So how we can afford it? Well, Honda can afford it. Supercar companies can't afford it. How Honda can afford it? Why? Because they sell so many of it. Mass production solves a lot of issues. This, like the data center hype, can exist if there is mass demand for it. There won't be a mass demand if there was a massive mass destruction of jobs. And this flat out saying like AI agents will be the reason why we should make silicon, it's like you're almost realizing that there is no use for it. Like we say things, right? Made for human, made for human. It's like you are making AI for AI. AI cannot pay AI. That's not how it works. So this whole idea, this like circular logic that people are doing is like, it's horrifying. And the fact that it's a directly firing missile at your pension, because you can't go inside the NASDAQ and it's like, can you please remove SpaceX value? You can't. Like that's the whole point. Hiding it in plain sight and forcing it in your future. Again, you can watch his video. It's like, he's like, and people are noticeably burnt out. It's like, you can clap now, which again, I saw the original OG, live stream when he was talking about GTX 1070 launch, 10 series launch. It was like energy. It was like a small, reasonable, everything was like, whoa, this time it's like big, magnificent. Everybody's like, so we are cooked. Translation, we cooked. It's almost like he started to fly above the ground and his like earthing rod that was like grounding him is like got disconnected. His brain just got fried. He said so many things. I'm like, dude, no. We need water. We don't need water burning parties. But anyway, the world is gone at this point in time. My paneer roll would be like freaking 5,000 rupees in the future. So this was my presentation on basically Nvidia's future destruction, our destruction. They will be rich, I will be broke. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it with your friend. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.